Greetings fanboys and fangirls, Jared here with another video from Fanboys Forever. Today we're actually going to be having a look at some brand new, just revealed just a few minutes ago, Masters of the Universe figures that are popping up at the preview night at San Diego Comic-Con. Now as I record this, it is Wednesday evening, and that of course means preview night for San Diego Comic-Con week. Mattel was there with all sorts of new Masters reveals. Now these aren't the only reveals that are going to happen at the show. There's a lot of them they're saving for tomorrow, and even some they're saving for Friday. So be sure to check back to the channel, and of course be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those upcoming videos, and like the video because that really helps us out. Alright, let's begin. First of all, we have some brand new non-Masters of the Universe Revolution, which is the new Netflix sequel series to Revelation, Masterverse product. And there are some real doozies in here, so let's go ahead and start checking it out. The first one I want to point out is Snout Spout right over here. Snout Spout looks so amazing, particularly because he really has a lot of that staction flair. And when I say staction, I mean those statue versions of like the 2000X designs that the Four Horsemen did after the original toy line was over. And I just love all the extra little bits and bobs that they have on there. The color choices are really cool, and I think he turned out beautifully, very much in the vein of that 2000X aesthetic. Now before I go any further, of course I want to point out that I know that these won't be the best quality pictures that we're going to eventually get at the show, but these are just the first ones that were posted. And of course, stay tuned to the channel because there will eventually be better pictures. And my hat's off to all the folks who took these. These are not my photos, and I found them on Twitter at places like For Eternia, Toy Bro, Dan Wiesenmeyer, and so many other cool accounts. The next one that I want to look at is the new Eternia Triclops figure. And boy oh boy, this one is just an absolute home run. This could very well be one of those situations where this could end up being the definitive version of the character in action figure form. Not only do they have the classic armor and everything just looks so good with a beautifully dark shade of green, but they also have his mini comic sash with the funny different colored gems or splotches, whatever you want to say. And so I just think it turned out beautifully. Moving on over, I guess this would be the new Eternia Mechanic. And wow, this is just spectacular. Mechanic, unless they're not showing certain things that he includes, is one of the more traditional of the new Eternia style of figures, and with almost seemingly the only additional thing that he has being this cool shield, which does kind of go with He-Man's shield that he had. So I do think that's cool. He does have a really neat, it almost seems like a segmented, articulated neck. So I think that's really going to make this a standout when it comes to previous figures. You can see here we have a mystery figure that's going to be revealed tomorrow. And then yes, we have the brand new Man-at-Arms. Now, of course, a lot of these figures, the titles of them and things, had leaked, so we knew that a lot of this stuff was coming. But it is really cool to finally see it, and it's just a very classic looking Man-at-Arms. As a matter of fact, it's not even as revisionist as I thought it would be. So I think that this looks really great. I'm glad that he comes with both heads, mustachioed and non-mustache. And that brings me to something we need to discuss, the brand new packaging for Masterverse. Friends, it does appear that they have taken every one of the criticisms that I have leveled at them with all the reviews that I've done, and I'm not saying they listen directly to me. I think that a lot of people had these criticisms, and they have applied it to make the packaging look great. Gone is that awful kind of generic blue, and now it's all bright and vibrant and orangey. And the best part, they found a way to incorporate that beautiful, beautiful artwork right onto the front of the box where it should have been from the very start. As you can see, they also have a kind of little window so that you can at least see the figure, and I think that this is a beautiful way to do it. And I like a little Masterverse on the top, and I like how highlighted the new Eternia part is as well. So I'm very excited about this packaging change. I think it's beautiful. Right here we do have Vicron, which I have already reviewed on the channel, and he turned out great. And finally, with this display anyway, before we move on to others, is one of the more interesting reveals, and that is this Meg Foster Evil Lyn figure from the 1987 film. Let's have a closer look. Let's start with the likeness. I actually think this is a very successful Meg Foster likeness. It really does look like her. I feel like that they've done a good job here. I think it's convincing, especially the eyes. You know, she has a very particular kind of eyes, and I just think they look really good here. They're kind of otherworldly. There's also all kinds of great details here. Of course, they did even do the little patterns that are on her stockings that she's wearing, and they've gotten a lot of the basics of the costume right with a soft goods cape and all of that. I think the one thing I'm concerned about is the color choice. In the movie, to me, it was always fairly clear that her breastplate always seemed gold to me. And I think I'm not the only one that thought that. At closest to this, it seems silver. So this is a little puzzling for me why some of these color choices happen. And I hope it's something that can still be corrected before the final figure. This really does need some serious gold paint. I have found a couple of sources that I think that we should look at in terms of accuracy. This is the picture from the film that I found where it looks the most silver. And of course the lighting is kind of dark here, so it does kind of take on a little bit of a silvery tone. But then here is a picture of the actual costume on display on a mannequin. For one thing, you'll find that the patterns on the stockings here are a lot more intricate and full. But the big thing is, yes, indeedy, that is a gold breastplate right there. And so I think it's pretty hard to argue about that. I think that it looks like the armbands are silver and maybe the crown is more of a silver as well. But it's very hard to argue with the actual breastplate being gold. So I'm really hoping that that's something that they actually correct. Moving on to the next set of reveals, we have some Origins figures. Now, of course, this is usually what we're all more concerned about. I'll start with some of the things we already know. Of course, we knew that we were getting this Rulers of the Sun 3-pack here. Of course, I think it's supposed to be at Target here really soon. So I think those are supposed to be shipping out. We already know about Skeletor, and we already knew about the Skeleton Warriors and Flocked Mossman. However, we do have some brand new things in the case. We have Fangor here, who is looking absolutely fantastic. Fangor is a figure I never did get in Classics. He was in the mini comics and things, and I always loved his design, so it is fantastic to have this new addition to the Snake Men. Not only that, but a very unexpected reveal for me was to see Stondar. And the cool thing, it's not like it was in Masters of the Universe Classics, where I think a lot of the actual, turning into a meteor where that was secondary. It does look like this is a more realized transformation, so we're probably seeing a deluxe figure here, a deluxe release or something. It does look like the head will fold down in a special way so that he can roll up, and he does have the blaster mounted onto the chest right there. I'm very excited about it. I love the squat proportions and the big armor there on the chest. And I'm really liking the head sculpt even from this blurry pic, so it looks really nice. You can see that there's a couple of reveals that are going to happen for Origins on Friday, so we'll see. And here's one to get excited about, Lady Slither. I had just kind of recently mentioned that I thought Lady Slither would make a great addition to the Snake Men, and sure enough, here she is, and I'm very excited about this. I think it's really cool that they also gave her some normal legs as well, which are just repaints of Tila's legs, but that works. And look at how cool that her giant snake tail is that she's mounted onto. It is just great to get a new female figure in the line, and I think she looks wonderful. The color choices are really striking. And yes, as expected, we get a Night Stalker vehicle. There's no reason not to do this when they already had the tooling available, and it's pretty much just a repaint with some new things here and there. But I really love the color choices here. It really makes it pop. It really looks better than Stridor did. And I love the base they came up with, because instead of being Castle Grayskull themed, we have something that's a lot more Snake Mountain themed. So this is going to look great in front of Snake Mountain. So I'm very excited about this. I think they've done a good job, and I really didn't expect to be all that fussed about it. So I think that it turned out very well. It'll be fun to give Jitsu something to ride, or any of your other evil warriors, I suppose. Down here we can see the beginning of a release list, and it's interesting because you can kind of tell where some of this stuff is going to come from. You can see Rock-On is going to be a Mattel Creations thing. Night Stalker, it's actually going to be a Mattel Creations thing, which is wise because those vehicles did not do well at retail. Origins Flocked Mossman. It's funny that it doesn't mention that it's Walmart exclusive, but I believe it is. Rulers of the Sun 3-pack, once again, doesn't mention anything about Target exclusivity, but I believe it is. Deluxe Lady Slither, that's a Mattel Creations thing. And then we have some of the other things listed, but it kind of gets cut off. Of course, there's some more Origins figures they've revealed, but we first want to look at some of the Revolution stuff. I'm very excited about Revolution. I did really enjoy Revelations, so I think it's going to be really fun to catch up with those characters. This is, of course, the San Diego figure that they have, the Motherboard figure, and it looks really cool. I think it's a little overpriced at $65, but I still think it looks neat. But I do want to show you the figures that they've revealed so far, and they're pretty exciting. Over here we have the Sorceress Tila right here, and she is branded Revolution, so I guess it's fair to assume that she will just retain her pretty much exact look from her transformation at the end of Revelation. Spoiler alert, but I mean, if you've not watched it by now, then probably wasn't a big priority for you. I think that it looks really good. She's very bulky. They bulked her right up for this figure, and yeah, I think this is a beautiful look for the character. It makes Tila very heroic looking. But this is really what I'm interested in. They have apparently redone He-Man here, and I think He-Man was the weakest figure in the line previously, and it is still kind of difficult to tell exactly what's going on here with this He-Man. From what I can tell, the head sculpt definitely looks better than what we had before. It's a much more animation accurate head sculpt. And you can see that he does have battle armor, and it makes me think that in Revolution, He-Man will be donning this armor to do a lot of his fighting. But the cool thing is you can see that He-Man has his regular vest. Now, I don't know if this is different or the same as the one we got before, but I do know that that probably means that this armor can come right off, and you can just attach his standard H logo vest. So I think that's really exciting, and it means, you know, that we'll get another chance to hopefully own a more animation accurate He-Man. And he's certainly, at least judging by the arms anyway, I could be wrong, maybe it's the exact same thing, but he looks a little bulkier, so let's certainly hope that's the case. Packaging. You can see, for comparison's sake, they put the old Merman over here to show you the old version, and then the brand new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe packaging to look more like the Filmation designs. And it looks really nice. Now, of course, this is pretty much the same figure that we got in the He-Man History of TV 4-pack. However, it does appear that the colors are slightly different, and maybe some of the sculpting might be different too. It's hard for me to tell. It does almost look like the legs and the chest look more angular or animated looking. Yeah, maybe this is new in some ways. I don't know. I do think the chest may have been resculpted, so yeah, that definitely doesn't look like the standard Origins buck. So interesting. You can see we do have a different sword for him there. And they do have a comparison with the old He-Man right there. And as you can see, it is very obvious that the chests are quite different from one another. There are other characters that they have in the Filmation line, including Tila, Man-at-Arms, Trapjaw, and Skeletor, all looking fantastic, giving the other designs that we'd had before a real run for their money, because I think these are quite a bit better. And over here we just have the new Snake Men from that pack that we have coming down the pipeline. Here's a closer look at the brand new Filmation He-Man, and you can see that everything's just more smoothed out right there. And the arms, you know, it almost does look like the head is an improvement from what we saw in the 4-pack. Yeah, scratch what I was saying. I do think that a lot of this really is different. Yeah, this might be a completely new iteration of what we had in that pack. Maybe it's the same head, but they've adjusted some of the paint to make it look better. Yeah, I think that this is a great way to refresh the line. Oh yes, right here we have Trapjaw. Yeah, this looks far superior to the original Trapjaw that we got, and it's a great way for people to have another chance at owning him. And this Skeletor is immaculate. I mean, look at it. It's terrific. And Skeletor here also appears to be using that brand new body that we saw for He-Man. Here's a better look at Tila. Yeah, she looks a little, you know, she's a little dazed or something. It's kind of a funny look. It's hard to capture that Filmation head, but I do think that this is certainly better than what we saw with like the Classics head. I do know that Super 7 did their own like retro-y versions of these designs, and these definitely look like they're on par with those and have better articulation. In the background you can see the new Man-at-Arms. Interestingly, his helmet is a very dark gray, and I think it should be just a little lighter. Maybe either way, really dark blue, there's of course new reveals that are going to be coming down the pipeline on Friday. So it's all just very exciting, and I can't wait to share those with you when they come through. I'm really happy that you decided to listen to my rants and ravings about all these different figures. I'm not really sure that we're going to have as big a reveal this year as we did previously, when we had all of that hype and the big reveals surrounding the Eternia playset. But I think that that's fair because, well, they've not shipped that yet, and they're still working on it. Probably won't be around until the beginning of 2024, but we'll see. Either way, I do think it's going to be interesting, especially to see these brand new Revolution-themed figures. I think that this will give us our first true inkling of what to expect from that series, and hopefully we'll get our hype going. So now it's your chance to let me know down below in the comments what is the thing that impressed you the most from these reveals, and what's the thing that disappointed you the most. Tell me what you would like to see Mattel reveal at this San Diego Comic-Con, and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on all the other coverage I have coming up. God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.